This award, the Lifetime Achievement Award, is for Betye Saar. She is a world-renowned contemporary artist, and we recognize her as one of the most profound living American artists. If Matisse once said, "An artist is an explorer," then the journey Betye Saar has taken us and herself on, delving into the past and reaching into the future simultaneously, is a joyous and spiritually uplifting evolutionary ride. The absolutely timeless, tiny woman that is Betye Saar is a fearless woman. She's one of the artists who ushered in the development of assemblage art. Saar's practice reflects on African American identity, spirituality, and the connectedness between different cultures. This queen's symbolically rich body of work has evolved over time to demonstrate the environmental, cultural, political, racial, technological, economic, and historical context in which it exists. Betye Saar brought us the liberation of Aunt Jemima. Yes, and she set the white feminist movement reeling with that, in addition to taking back something that was meant to harm and hurt. We own that. Her studio, you saw a picture of it, is divinely centered, and it reflects the enormity of her mind. And it's the place where she is safe to create rich, textured visions of imperfect perfection. Without Saar's legacy and her many contributions to the history of art, the canon of art, the Museum of the African Diaspora would not exist, nor would many others. To present the award to Betye, please welcome Cheryl and Charles Ward, who are who have fans here and who are long-term art collectors and patrons of the arts. Cheryl may have the title as executive to ABC KGO's president, but she runs the joint. She's a former board member of the Alonzo King Ballet, and Charles is an entertainment lawyer and nonprofit chief executive officer at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts.
It's nice to be asked to introduce a friend. We've known Betye Saar for more than 30 years. We first met when I bought a collage of hers for our 20th wedding anniversary. And I was offered an introduction by Alitash Kabedi, the gallerist who sold me the work. It's a piece that we still own in our collection. It holds a special place, and Betye holds a special place in our hearts.
When we moved to the Bay Area from Washington, D.C. in 1977, it wasn't long before I opened a small gallery and plant shop in downtown Oakland. We called it Earth and Arts. I was just learning my way around when I received an invitation from the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. We were living in Oakland, so I hadn't spent much time in San Francisco, and I had not yet been to MoMA. But I was drawn, actually I was mesmerized by the image on the invite. The title of the solo exhibition was simply Betye Saar. It was my first introduction to her work, and it has a profound effect on me, as it has on so many others. Since her first solo show in 1964, there have been more than 100 solo shows. Since 1967, she has been in no fewer than 15 group exhibitions per year throughout the US and around the world, from New York to New Zealand, from the Netherlands to Taiwan. Her work is in the collection of more than 70 of the world's most important museums and countless private collections. Betye is an artist who throughout her career has addressed current affairs head-on and has always illuminated African American identity with dignity, with humor, and with pride. In the 70s, as the Black Power movement was growing, she observed it in her art, as she increasingly employed symbols tied to the African American struggle, from the cruel schematics of slave ships to the troubling images of the Black memorabilia that she had begun collecting. She once told an LA Times interviewer, "If you're a mom with 3 kids, you can't go to a march, but you can make work that deals with your anger." She's always known that Black lives matter. With a ceramic hand, a hanky, a clock, a watermelon slice, family photos, and a single feather, she conjures powerful memories, meaning, and the richness of our experience, all in a single work. She herself says, "I'm intrigued with combining the remnants of memories, fragments of relics, and ordinary objects with the components of technology. It's a way of delving into the past and reaching into the future at the same time. The art itself becomes the bridge." She was inspired to work in assemblage by a 1967 exhibition of found object sculptor Joseph Cornell, and was also greatly influenced by Simon Rodia's Watts Towers, which she witnessed being built during her childhood. Betty has said that she is fascinated by the materials that he used, the broken dishes, seashells, rusty tools, all pressed into cement to create his majestic spires, which so many of you have probably seen. So when she began to create work, it mostly consisted of found objects arranged within boxes and windows with artifacts that grew from various cultures to reflect her own ancestry, African American, Irish, and Native American. She is a graduate of UCLA and went on to graduate studies at Cal State Long Beach, USC, Cal State Northridge, and the American Film Institute. She has been awarded honorary degrees from California College of the Arts, Massachusetts College of Art, California Institute of the Arts, Otis College of Art and Design, and the San Francisco Art Institute. She is the mother of well-known and highly regarded visual artists in their own right, Allison and Leslie Saar, and daughter Tracy, who is a writer and is here with her tonight.
Please join us in a warm Moad welcome for Betye Saar.
Good evening. Thank you for coming this evening. The film showed you a picture of my hands moving over a blue piece of paper. The piece of paper has a diagram of a slave ship. The images on that diagram show the children in the center, surrounded by the men and the women. This is a print I made, and the title of that print is called "The Fragility of the Smiles of Strangers Lost at Sea." Tonight, we are in this room. Many of us are descendants from strangers not lost at sea. The diaspora that sailed from Africa to the United States brought our descendants here, and it's hard, it's all right, it's okay. It's hard for me to think about that time, but most of that time is much of the inspiration for the work that I do. to celebrate those strangers, to celebrate all of us in this room. Sometimes it's difficult. It's difficult to try to live our life, our liberty, the pursuit of happiness, because sometimes the political situation casts a shadow on that part of our lives. But we're here today to celebrate it, to celebrate the good part, and to celebrate MOAD, the Museum of the African Diaspora. It's so important to support a museum like this, because a museum like this gives us so much in return and supports all the creative arts. So today I stand here to receive this award, to say thank you, to thank you for attending. Thank you.
Come on, you get in the middle. Okay.
Betye Saar, thank you for being an historian as well as an inspiration. Our stories are difficult to tell, but there are stories, and they must be told, and we must tell them.